dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave, the brave.
Please remain standing. Gathered, Brunonia's beloved citizens, let sacred silence now enfold us. Breath of all that is worthy, be ours, and still our racing hearts. Blown together from earth's corners, cultures, communities, may the winds that carried us here grow quiet. May we settle gently in the beauty of this place and in each other's care and keeping. Born to this place on our own dreams, our teachers' gifts, our families' love and sacrifice, we hope. We envision, we pray to be agents of rescue, remediation of human misery and illness, researchers, innovators, those whose learning and engagement bring transformation, even of our own deepest convictions, our own most closely held privilege. May we together find courage sufficient to be born afresh, to risk band collaborations, to move beyond binary constructions, to compose unlikely music for even more unlikely instruments. Poised in summer's heat, we who await the bracing winds are a rare admixture, a collective, the focused, the alert, the quiet, the advocate, the activist, the reticent, the poet, the intimidated, the bold, the novice, the expert, dancers and data geeks together. May we open paths to one another, those of a new community where within all our contradiction and conflict, we can yet agree and enact an ethic where cherished, heard, supported, enabled to thrive, together we may make a difference for all that is truly good. Chartered by antique voices and shoulders upon whom we stand, still the grateful, holding again awkwardly both the hope and the privilege to be worthy of our privilege, to attempt to discharge the offices of life with usefulness and reputation, to be a blessing in the life of a beloved, if aching world. So help us in this new academic year and always. Amen. Please be seated.
members of the Brown community, faculty, staff, alumni, parents, and students. It is my very great pleasure as president of Brown University to declare the 255th academic year open. I want to welcome the members of the entering classes of the medical school, graduate school, and the college. Among them are 144 dedicated medical school students, 826 exceptionally talented master's and doctoral students, 10 brilliant resumed undergraduate education scholars who have gained life experience after high school before coming to Brown, 56 very wise and perceptive transfer students, and of course, 1,657 exceptional first-year students, the core of the Brown class of 2022. Welcome to everybody. Although this is my 7th convocation as Brown's president, the excitement of the first day of school never fades. Seeing all of you here on this beautiful college green just fuels my sense of optimism and the set of boundless possibilities that always accompany the start of classes. You come from every corner of the world. You represent nearly every socioeconomic group, political persuasion, religious affiliation, and cultural background. I want to extend a special welcome to those of you who are the first in your families to attend college. Starting at Brown must have a particularly special meaning for you and your families. More generally, each and every one of you has a unique personal story and a distinctive set of talents that you bring here to College Hill. And it's the blend of these stories and talents that create the magic that happens on this campus. Our newest students and faculty members are joining what I believe is a very special community. Our mission statement refers to Brown as a, and I quote, partnership of students and teachers in a unified community. In the short time that I have with you this afternoon, I'd like to consider these words and address one simple question. In what sense are we, as members of the Brown community, unified? This question is especially relevant now, not only because it gets at Brown's essential character, but because I raise it at a time when this country and many other countries around the world seem anything but unified. We live in an era where divisive political rhetoric exposes deep rifts and prompts fundamental questions about the kind of society we want to be. Debates over immigration center on who has the right to live, work, and be educated in this country. Debates about environmental policy force us to consider how we should weigh profits today against future costs to human health and well-being. And challenges to the use of race as one of many factors in college admissions are opening discussions on the role of higher education in promoting a just society and demanding that we explore differences in our visions of what justice looks like. Now, I know that these are very difficult issues, and I'm sure you can think of more, and I doubt we're unified in our views on them, nor should we expect to be. But if we don't share the same views, then what does it mean to be a unified academic community at a time like this, a time of division and polarization? To me, it comes down to standing for shared values. Even as all of us embody a broad range of perspectives and worldviews, there is a core set of values that animate Brown University. The first is a dedication to seeking truth. The second is a belief that advancing knowledge and understanding is the path to a better world. And the third is a commitment to respecting human dignity. seeking truth, knowledge in the service of society, respect for human dignity, these are the values that drive our actions each and every day. They are the values that unify us. So what does it look like at Brown to live by these values? Let me offer just a few examples. First, we demonstrate our values in the way that we respond to the assault on science, perhaps most salient in the questioning of climate change, its existence and its consequences. As a university community, we generate knowledge by subjecting hypotheses to close empirical scrutiny. We seek truth through the painstaking work of observing and testing and validating and replicating. This approach drives the vital work that we do at the Institute of Brown for Environment and Society, IBES for short, where scholars and students rigorously examine how human activity is changing the face of the planet. Consider Professor Amanda Lynch. I hope many of you get the chance to work with her. She is the founding director of IBES, and she's working on the front lines of seeking truth about climate change. Her scientific work focuses on the stability of Arctic ice sheets, a very important factor in sea level rise. But she takes this scientific knowledge one step further by investigating what retreating sea ice means to vulnerable Arctic herding and fishing populations. And this knowledge informs policies that serve a locally defined common good and offer the best chance for forging resilience and supporting the dignity, back to human dignity, of Indigenous peoples. Some years ago, Brown professor Kenneth Miller noted, quote, "Science is not a body of knowledge, it's a way of thinking. It's a search for truth that illuminates every aspect of the human condition. It's also, I would add, the kind of approach that unifies us." A second example. Our values were on display very recently when Brown journalism professor Tracy Breton, working with a team of Brown students, published a series of 9 articles in the Providence Journal, our local paper, on elder abuse in Rhode Island. The final article on how the elderly are often prey for financial exploitation scams over the internet, this appeared just in yesterday's issue. The pieces were written over the course of a year. They reflected detailed, careful, data-driven research into the lived experiences of elderly residents in the state. And the portrait that they paint together, which is sensitively derived and very, very powerful, is one of an elder care system that's rife with neglect and disregard and violence. This extraordinary Brown-inflected series is investigative journalism at its best, and it comes at a timely moment in the Fourth Estate, when public trust in journalistic principles is being routinely undermined. It shines a light on truth, it reveals knowledge that will hopefully lead to reform, and it calls out a shameful lack of respect for human dignity. It is the opposite of fake news. Finally, we see Brown's values in the power of memory and history to distill eternal truths, in particular about the legacy of slavery, the struggle for civil rights, and the unfinished business of securing racial equality in America. At a Black alumni reunion being held at Brown later this month, we'll remember a moment in 1968, 50 years ago, the Black student walkout that transformed Brown. This moment set in motion 5 decades of work by faculty, staff, and students to make this university a more inclusive and welcoming place for all. Now, in part, that moment paved the way for the work of my predecessor, President Ruth Simmons. Under her leadership, Brown was one of the first institutions of higher education to examine its own role in the slave trade, appointing a steering committee on slavery and justice. The committee's report is a shining example of insightful historical research. I encourage all of you to take the time to read it. Among other things, the committee recommended the creation of the Center for the Study of Slavery and Justice, which is one of the jewels of education and research at Brown. People were deeply affected by the findings of the report. For some, they were made whole. For others, there was a sort of closure, coming to terms. And for many, there was a sense that Brown's acknowledgement allowed all of us to unite to resume a timeless quest for dignity. This was especially true for Rowan Ricardo Phillips, who received his PhD from Brown in 2003. In the pages of the committee's report, he discovered that among the survivors of a horrific journey undertaken by the Brown brothers' slave ship, the Sally, in 1764, were his ancestors, stolen from Africa and sold into slavery in Antigua. Reflecting on the discovery of how complex his relationship to this university truly was, a place where he had thrived, Rowan wrote something powerful and beautiful. He said, "The ties that bind us have proved to be strong even in their most broken places." So, pursuit of truth, belief in the transformative power of knowledge, and respect for the dignity of all. These are the values that unite us at Brown. The faculty, the staff, the medical school students, the graduate school students, the undergraduates, including the great class of 2022. These are the values that turn differences into opportunities. They turn the unknown into adventure, and that turn education into true learning. They transform college into Brown, the lively experiment envisioned by our charter in 1764. And today, because of all of you who are here, I remain relentlessly optimistic about the year to come and to our future overall. So with that, it's my great pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker. When I had the opportunity several years ago to select Brown's next provost, my priority was to appoint a strong, inspiring faculty leader who could curate Brown's academic programs in research and teaching at the highest standards of excellence. Today, I consider the choice of Richard Locke to be among the best decisions I have made as president of Brown. He's an internationally respected scholar and authority on international labor standards, worker rights, comparative political economy, and corporate responsibility. He's made influential contributions to these fields, and his teaching in international political economy has garnered awards and citations. In my experience working with Rick, what sets him apart beyond his keen intellect and his integrity and his skills as a consensus builder is his exceptional commitment to ensuring that higher education thought leadership informs the campus and the public policy discussions of the day. Best of all, he's been a true and trusted partner in our work, guiding this beloved university to new levels of excellence and preparing the leaders and innovators of the future, all of you. So please join me in welcoming Provost Richard Locke. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you, President Paxson, for that very generous introduction and for the opportunity to be here today. Many thanks to my faculty and staff colleagues and to all of the students, too, for coming out today as we open the new academic year. We are delighted to welcome our newest students, the class of 2022, graduate students, medical students, RU, and transfer students. It's a profound honor to be here today. When I began college 40 years ago, I was the first in my family to attend a four-year college. We didn't refer to ourselves then as first generation, though I still recall the mixed emotions I felt. I was so excited by all the new people I was meeting, the incredible courses I had enrolled in, the amazing facilities surrounding me, but I also was worried that perhaps I might not have what it would take to succeed in college. Everything seemed so new and unfamiliar. Everyone seemed so smart and polished, and I simply did not have the roadmap the cultural capital, to navigate this new world. It was all a bit overwhelming at times, but with the help of some great professors and my new friends, I soon learned the rules of the game and threw myself into this new world of higher education. 40 years ago, I would never have imagined that I would be blessed to teach at one of the world's great universities and to serve as Brown's provost. But here I am, and here you are, about to embark on your own academic journey. Now today, I want to focus my brief remarks on how we can take full advantage of this incredible opportunity, an opportunity of a lifetime, to reaffirm our core values and strengthen the role of this university and higher education in general as agents of social mobility and positive social change. Now more than ever, our society needs universities like Brown to play this important role. Let me begin by reflecting on Evicted, the book all incoming undergraduates read as part of their orientation program. Evicted is a compelling study that documents the affordable housing crisis facing millions of people in this country today. By weaving together the narratives of 8 Milwaukee families with national statistics and local archival research, the author, Matthew Desmond, sheds light on this staggering social problem. The lack of safe, clean, affordable, and stable housing prevented the families we meet in the book to secure, let alone hold on to, stable employment, attend to basic health care needs, enroll their children in the same school on a regular basis, and to save what little money they had left after paying rent to purchase warm clothes, nutritious food, or even heat and electricity. But even more than presenting us with these compelling family narratives, Desmond makes 3 important points. First, he shows how problems that we often treat as isolated and distinct, unemployment, homelessness, food insecurity, unequal access to good quality education and health care, are all connected, are all pieces of the same self-reinforcing system. Second, through evidence and logic, the book challenges our conventional wisdom. The conventional wisdom holds that poverty leads to homelessness. Evicted instead shows that the lack of safe, clean, affordable, and stable housing leads to poverty and many of its negative consequences. Third, the way Desmond tells the story of these 8 families shows that he feels genuine empathy for them, regardless of their race, their class, or their personal habits. Through his research, we come to understand the experience of these families from their own perspective. This mix of empathy, systems thinking, and the use of facts and logic to overturn conventional wisdom and shed new light on pressing social problems is what I find so compelling about the book and what I also find so exciting about Brown. Each of you is about to embark on a journey that will challenge you to learn new things, develop new skills, and rethink your prior assumptions, your own conventional wisdom about many, many different issues. You will debate these issues with friends and colleagues, and even with some of your professors who might hold completely different views from your own. In the process, if you are open to both challenging conventional wisdom and to being challenged, you will sharpen your ideas and learn and grow in new and expansive ways. This is what university life is all about. And this type of inquiry and debate, free and open and critical and respectful, and yes, even fun, is what Brown promotes each and every day, both in and outside of the classroom. Using facts and logic to shed new light on pressing social problems and overturning prior assumptions, as Matthew Desmond did in Evicted, is what students and faculty at Brown do every day. Let me give you a couple examples. For years, the conventional wisdom held that the moon's surface was completely dry. However, Brown planetary scientists Carly Peters and later Xiaoer Li published research that showed that water actually exists on the moon's surface. This work has completely changed how we think about the moon's geography. Let me give you another example. For years, we have known that the US has higher infant mortality than other developed countries, and most people blame our healthcare system for this unfortunate fact. However, Brown Professor of Economics Emily Oster analyzed data from the US and Europe and found that the infant survival rates during the first medical intensive month of life are comparable across regions. There's no difference at that point. What changes is when babies are brought home. This is when we see divergent patterns of infant mortality, especially among low-income families. This finding suggests that the need to provide greater support to young families at home rather than experiment with various changes to our healthcare system. My own work on labor justice in the global economy offers yet another example. My research focuses on how to promote safe and fair working conditions for the millions of workers laboring in factories and farms across the globe who make the things that you and I buy and consume every day: cell phones, laptops, soft drinks, food, clothing, running shoes, and other goods. The conventional wisdom regarding labor rights and globalization holds that in today's world, where anything can be made anywhere, there is by necessity a so-called race to the bottom, that only by sweating labor, and by this I mean paying workers below a living wage, working them many hours so that they get sick, denying them their basic rights, and harassing them both at work and on their way to and from work, that only by pursuing these exploitative practices can developing countries compete in the global economy. The race to the bottom argument simply assumes that the benefits that we gain from our ability to purchase all sorts of goods at affordable prices comes at the expense of the basic rights and welfare of workers employed in these globally dispersed factories and farms. However, my own research, which entailed collecting and analyzing thousands and thousands of factory inspection reports for companies like Nike and Apple and Coca-Cola and others, as well as field work visiting over 150 factories located in the 10 largest exporting countries in the global south, and conducting almost 1,000 interviews with people working at or for these factory and companies, this research found that in fact the race to the bottom is not inevitable, nor is it necessary. A better way, which protects workers' rights and pays them higher wages while producing high-quality goods at affordable prices, can and does already exist. Achieving this requires both a different mindset about how best to operate a business and training in new production work systems for managers and workers alike. In other words, even in today's globalized world, we can create a race to the top. These examples are just a small sample of the meaningful and consequential research and teaching that take place at Brown today. Under President Paxson's leadership, Brown is guided by a strategic plan, building on distinction. Our plan lays out an exciting vision for Brown: investments in new academic programs, buildings, and campus community. But at the core are a number of academic areas that distinguish Brown, areas that are linked to some of the world's greatest challenges, like improving population health, promoting environmental sustainability, discovering cures for debilitating diseases, and promoting more just, peaceful, and prosperous societies. Now, other great universities also have programs focused on climate change, population health, brain and translational science, and economic development. What makes Brown truly distinctive is how we pursue this work, and that is by blending together intellectual rigor with interdisciplinary inquiry to advance knowledge and make a positive impact in the world. We understand that no single academic discipline holds a monopoly of knowledge to fully address these pressing global issues. But by bringing people from different backgrounds and skill sets and experiences and perspectives to work collaboratively across different disciplines, we can actually make progress on these problems and make positive differences in the world. This is what's happening every day on this campus, and this is why it's an especially exciting and inspiring time to be at Brown. For me, what I witness is there's an intellectual effervescence that one feels when one walks into a classroom or walks across campus and interacts with fellow Brunonians. This is why I urge you to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Throw yourself into your studies and your extracurricular activities. Question your assumptions and do something to translate the privileges that we all enjoy here at Brown to make the world a better place. While I cannot overemphasize the value and importance of research, teaching, and service taking place on our campus, it is also true that these are very trying times for higher education and for universities like Brown. We find ourselves in a period where the basic principles and values underlying higher education are under attack. Values like the importance of scientific research and facts to help us understand and mitigate great challenges like climate change. The centrality of critical thinking and free inquiry as we come together to think through some of the society's most pressing issues. And the fundamental importance of diversity in policies like affirmative action that help us create truly diverse and inclusive communities. Let me offer some evidence of where I see these threats. Now, there have always been science skeptics. Yet a 2015 Pew Research Center study on science and society found that science denial appears to be increasingly widespread and gaining traction. For example, the survey revealed a 33-point gap between scientists and the general public over whether human activity actually impacts climate change. And it does, by the way. The study also found that respondents did not believe that scientists were in agreement about climate change, when in fact, in general, they are. In terms of overall views of the role, value, and impact of higher education, there were two notable polls conducted in 2017 that brought into sharp focus that Americans' views of higher education are increasingly polarized along partisan lines. One of these was a Gallup poll that found, and I'm going to quote, while a majority of Democrats and Democratic-leaning independents, 56%, say that they have a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in colleges, only a third of Republicans and Republican-leaning independents, 33%, hold that same view. Conservative critics believe that universities are too liberal and intolerant of more traditional views, while liberal critics believe that we are too expensive and elitist. Now, I'm not seeking to be political here, and I know that there are many things that universities need to do to address some of the issues raised in these polls. But these days, what we're witnessing is an outright attack on higher education and its core values. This includes recent proposals to tax tuition scholarships and endowments, attacks on particular areas of research related to reproductive health and environmental sustainability, and efforts by both the U.S. Department of Education and the U.S. Department of Justice to roll back policies that allow us to include race as one of the many factors we consider in our admissions decision. This would impact our ability to fulfill our very mission as a university. As I emphasized before, it is precisely by bringing together talented individuals from different national, racial, ethnic, gender, religious, political, class backgrounds, and identities that we are able to challenge and be challenged, and to continue to be agents of social mobility and positive social change. I would also argue that because of the declining support for colleges and universities among the public at large, we have not been especially effective at pushing back on some of these policy proposals, or in others that affect us, such as efforts to ban travel to the United States from a small set of Muslim-majority nations, or in pressing for comprehensive immigration reform to protect the rights of our undocumented and DACA students. We need to regain the confidence of the public and policymakers alike so that we can defend our core values and continue to serve as agents of social mobility and positive social change. You all have a role in this process. Throw yourselves into your studies, get involved in research, question your assumptions and the conventional wisdom, and do something impactful with what you learn while you're here at Brown. Now, my story about being the first in my family to attend a four-year college, which clearly changed the trajectory of my life, is also our collective story about taking advantage of the incredible opportunities offered us at Brown to make a positive impact in the world. But it could also be a story of our future, the future of our society, if we are able to leverage all that higher education has to offer to address some of society's most pressing challenges. So yes, these are both exciting times and trying times, and thus now more than ever, take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Have fun in the process and help make the world a better place. Thank you, and welcome to Brown.
Thank you, Provost Locke. That was terrific. And before we conclude, I just want to welcome everybody back again and welcome to our newest members to a terrific new year. I want to ask everyone to stand and please join the higher keys in singing the alma mater. In case you haven't memorized the words yet, they are in your program. And when we're done, that will conclude the convocation. Thank you and welcome.
Alma mater, we hail thee with loyal devotion, and bring to thine altar our offerings of praise. Our hearts swell within us with joyful emotion, as the name of old Brown in loud chorus we raise. The happiest moments of youth's fleeting hours we've passed 'neath the shade of these time-honored walls, and sorrows as transient as April's brief showers